Earlier this year, I put out a report that exposed hellish plans by our government and blows the lid on our freedom here in America. In this report, I've delved through a draft document that was put together by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the U.S. Department of Education called Draft Policy Statements on Family Engagement from the Early Years to the Early Grades. This document is horrifying. It enforces the idea of having periodic home visits in parents' homes by teachers and also demands that the government get involved in the lives of the parents from birth all the way up to age 18. And it enforces a type of community child rearing. On page 1 of the document, they make it clear that parents are, quote, equal partner. It is the position of the departments that all early childhood programs and schools recognize families as, quote, equal partners in improving child's development. On page 4, it furthers the idea that family engagement is no longer, quote, supplementary, but that the government should get involved and engaged. It states, the perception that family engagement practices are supplemental rather than necessary for successfully promoting children's learning and development. Institutions that serve young children may place low priority on family engagement because they perceive their mission as narrowly focused on the child and miss the notion that children, especially very young children, live in the context of their families and their experiences are not independent of but intertwined with those of their families. There are few requirements and limited official guidance at the local, state, and federal levels to support implementation of these policies and practices, with some exceptions. Many state, program, district, and school policies make ambiguous references to, quote, family engagement and do not provide concrete definitions or guidance on practices and policies that promote family engagement. On page 7, it goes on to reveal the implementation of evidence-based parenting interventions and the rigorous evaluating of parent-child activity. It states, implementing evidence-based parenting interventions across early childhood program. Parenting interventions should be based on communities, needs, and strength in families, roles as children's first and most important teachers, advocators, and nurturers. Rigorously evaluating family engagement strategies to identify and scale best practices. On page 10, it discusses hiring a, quote, family specialist. It states they may include hiring a family engagement specialist or designating an existing staff member to be responsible for ensuring that systematic family engagement plans are well managed, executed, and continuously improved. This individual could facilitate technical assistance and staff professional development, coordinate family support services, including support for parenting, and refer families to social services. We all know how good they have been for the community. Page 13, and probably the most disturbing part of this document, states that to support ongoing relationship building with family, programs and schools should conduct periodic home visits so that teachers and families can get to know each other and communicate about the child's goals, strengths, communities, and progress. If home visits are not possible for all families, schools or programs should require that teachers or providers and families communicate at the beginning of the year to ensure the relationship in starting in a positive way. This document is horrifying, to say the least, but if you believe it won't happen here in America, guess again. It is already happening in places in the United Kingdom. According to www.christian.org.uk, kids are to face creepy questions under named person plan. This plan that Scotland plans on initiating sounds exactly like the draft you just heard about in America. This includes questioning children about their private lives, where they are asked to fill out intrusive questions about what goes on in their families. Younger children will be coaxed to divulge information through the use of cards, songs, and games, while other children will face a series of questions on their home life, their sexual health, and whether or not they feel close to their family members. The information will be stored in a school database, and then each child will be assigned a state guardian from birth to age 18 to look after the child's well-being. But that's not all they plan on intruding on. According to another report put out by the Christian Institute, the Welsh government plans to monitor church group, and they have launched a consultation on plans to regulate out-of-school education settings. This will include drama groups, music classes, any extracurricular activities, including church youth activities. Conservatives have warned that if this plan goes ahead in England, it could be used to punish Christians who teach the biblical definition of marriage. All this to say that the attack on family is going worldwide. Not only are we faced with problems here in America, but in the United Kingdom and abroad as well. What's their goal? Well, ultimately to control the family and have parents so afraid of government intrusion that they can't even raise their children appropriately. This is the ultimate attack not only on families, but also on Christian views.